Eminem
Ooh,
asks M and ampersand M. So like the candy, not the rapper.
not the rapper. I was like,
Yeah,
oh, I didn't know he was studying, but
he's
awesome.
not. No, I don't know which Eminem this is who's reaching out. If it's the blue or the red or
I like the yellow
hi.
one.
Hi, I have been studying consistently for typically 2 to 3 hours a day since maybe July 2025. Maybe. Often doing timed or untimed sections, reviewing thoroughly, and occasionally drilling when I notice a pattern of mistakes. Okay, so, okay. All right. So mostly just sections, just timed or untimed, it seems like. Occasionally
Yeah,
drilling 2 to 3 hours a day. That's interesting. Okay. Since July. That's a lot of sections.
that's a lot of questions that you're going through.
Yeah. I'm finally at the point where I'm scoring low 170s. Okay. Who are we to judge?
Something worked.
And have signed up for the April test, yet still hoping that my final score will be in the mid to high 170s. I don't notice any more clear patterns to my mistakes. Is there any recommendation for breaking this plateau 2 months out from the test? Are there recommended daily schedules that have worked for people in my position 2 months out? Thank you. Hmm. Interesting. I would just say this isn't the typical study pattern that we would recommend. I'm not sure. I mean, at this point, it doesn't really matter because you're 2 months out. I'm not sure if you've done a core curriculum or not. Like, if you were to retake it, I'd recommend doing that. I wouldn't recommend doing it now. But like, for instance, when I retook it, I like went through the core curriculum again, and that was helpful. But for you, Eminem, I would say I wouldn't do as many time sections or untimed sections for that matter. I'd just be more targeted in your drilling. And I'd make sure you're doing one. I'm not sure if you're taking one PT a week or if this is just kind of an aggregate score. If it's an
Right.
aggregate score, I wouldn't
I'd be
rely on it.
careful.
Yeah, be careful to assume because it's a lot easier to take one time section at a time than it is to take four. So, not to pour cold water on this, maybe you are taking one a week, in which case, great. If you're not, start. And then from that, look for weak points and do more targeted drilling. Anything you want to add?
Yeah,
I
and I
hope
mean,
so,
I guess
because that's too short of a video.
I have some things to add. I mean, I
Yeah.
get it where you're at this point where you kind of are feeling like you're not seeing patterns in your mistakes anymore. And I mean, you're probably not seeing too many patterns because you're also not missing as many questions. And so I think it's probably easier to notice patterns when you're like in the 150s or the 160s and you're just missing a lot of questions. And you'll notice, like, oh, yeah, I missed 4 flaw questions on this test. But yeah, you're probably not missing as many questions. However, you're still missing some questions. Chances are there's some sort of patterns there. But even if it doesn't feel like it's this big, crazy trend that you're seeing across all tests, maybe you just do a full section or you do a PT, you realize that you missed a flaw, a necessary assumption, I don't know, pseudo sufficient assumption. Maybe they are all tagged as conditional reasoning, and we haven't been looking at those like reasoning style of tags, the content tags. Things like that might be helpful. Otherwise, I think, yeah, when you're at that point in your studying, there probably aren't going to be those big patterns. And it's more of like well, I missed this one question here. Let's see if there's a similar question that I can practice to keep working on that. And a lot of that is just going to have to do with looking at the question type, the difficulty, and any of those like reasoning content tags. But yeah, I mean, there's still definitely room for improvement. And I don't know if you're at the point where you're kind of running out of clean tests or sections or questions, but I'm guessing if you really have been doing a section every day since July, you would be. So, what I'm thinking is maybe even going back and more slowly reviewing things that you've missed near the beginning of your studying or just your most like least recently seen tests, going through and making sure that you can get to the point where you're fully explaining it to somebody else. Like at this point, you probably want to just be ready to be able to teach the test essentially, because that's what also catapults you into the high 170s. So I don't know if you got a friend who's willing to sit there and listen, you teach it to your cat, you teach it to yourself, talk out loud, like
Not
things
a
like
cat,
that helped
but
me a lot. You don't like the
cat's
cat
not gonna
idea?
give you they're not gonna give you the feedback that you need. It's gonna be
What
too
kind of
hard.
feedback do you need? No, I agree.
Literally
You
any
got to have
feedback.
like, yeah, even just somebody who's, doesn't know anything about the test, sit there willing to listen, try
Also, I'm
explaining
allergic
it a
to
little bit
cats,
more.
so
Ah,
if
me
it's
too.
me, a dog. I would rather teach a dog, and honestly, any human being would be better than a dog, I would say.
Did you have, like, anybody that you forced to sit there and listen to you explain
Yeah,
things?
my
Any
dad.
dog or person? Oh, dad. Perfect. And
Yeah.
he enjoyed
Well,
that?
yeah, he did.
Good. So this could
Anyways,
strengthen your relationships also.
yeah, I don't know that it strengthened it. It was pretty good to begin with, I think, but yeah, it could. Anyways, that's a great question. As far as, like, daily schedule, I mean, I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
sure, like, I'm not sure if that's a separate question or if we've answered it. In terms of daily schedule, I guess it's like I think you're asking, like, what to do, and I think we've answered that. As far as, like, daily
Right.
schedule, I mean, 2 to 3 hours a day is pretty good. I would be taking a day off and making sure to do 1 day of practice tests. But otherwise, I mean, you know, you don't need much more than that. You're gonna burn out. So
Agreed.
anyways, great question, M&M.